Are you ready to stop the self-sabotage and create the life you desire? Well, in order for that to happen, you need to break free from the bad beliefs that are holding your success hostage. You need to optimize the stress by turning it into extra energy for success. And those hurtful habits? Well, we need to give that pain a purpose for progress. Welcome to Stop the Self Sabotage and Create the Life You Desire podcast. Have you ever said to yourself about a really big dream, a desire that you have? Well, I just need more proof. Maybe I need the universe or God to let me know that this is the right direction I should be going. Or maybe I need to work on something smaller and make sure I can handle it. If so, then let's look at what's really behind this delay of you saying you need more proof before you go after making it part of your reality. Think about this. Every time you require more proof before you act, you're actually putting yourself on trial. And the evidence is never going to be enough because the verdict keeps changing. Every success or failure you've experienced is being presented in a courtroom. And the prosecutor says, see, another mistake, something that didn't work out. And the defense says, but look at all of these successes. And then the judge jumps in and says, I'd really like to have one more piece of evidence. So tomorrow arrives. Maybe you listen to one more podcast. Maybe you take one more class. Maybe it is one more dollar, one more promotion, one more certification. But it seems like the trial never ends because the standard that you're being judged by was never competence, which is self-confidence. I'll explain that in a moment. And the standard was never, are you living by your values, which is self-worth? No, you're in a prison of self-esteem proof to where you have to prove over and over again that the original story was incorrect. Before we get into the proof that will never be enough to prove them wrong, and who in the heck is them, let's talk about self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-worth. So self-confidence comes from your ability to repair after risk has gone wrong. So this is based on your skill set, and are you using it? The challenge is a lot of people will look at their self-confidence and say, oh, I must be lacking, when it's not a self-confidence challenge. It might belong in the other two areas. Or maybe it is self-confidence that you're not acting, or when you do, you have not increased your capacity to make things right when they go wrong. Then we have on the other end our self-worth. Our self-worth is based on the values that we live by. They're the greater expression of ourselves. Now, unfortunately, for a lot of people, we were taught values to where it is going to be values someone else's comfort, someone else's expectations, someone else's dreams and desires over who we are. And then if we can just perform enough for them, maybe we'll finally get the crumbs of connection for ourselves. We're trying to earn love. When really that is a target for people who want to use you for their benefit at your expense. And there's nothing wrong with the value of others, but it's incomplete. We have to upgrade it to where it fits the experience that you're living, not how you were taught to belong to someone else. Okay. So what do we have in between those two? We have self-esteem. And no child ever wakes up one day and says, "Oh, I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that they were wrong in what they said about me." And the belief that you were wrong is usually inherited, not genetically, but relationally, because as children, we do not just learn facts. We learn the rules that others around us have put forth in order for us to be acceptable. Now, some children learn, "You're wonderful because you exist." And others learn, "Oh, you're wonderful when you get good grades and when you're quiet and when you do not make mistakes and when you take care of everyone else and when you do not inconvenience us." And the message isn't usually spoken outright. It is communicated thousands and thousands of times through facial expressions, attention, criticism, lack of praise, or praise given and then withdrawn, disappointment, and comparison. So your autonomic nervous system begins to form, well, a belief based on what was true at the time. Well, acceptance follows performance, or safety follows perfection, or just to be connected depends on getting it right. None of those things originated with you as a kid. You simply adapted to the environment you were in. But then that adapting can become part of your identity, and you think you're evaluating yourself objectively. But in reality, you may be hearing the old story that someone else handed you. Now, doesn't mean the people that were taking care of you were intentionally harmful, although a lot of times they were. Sometimes they were passing along the same rules they learned. Boundaries bless, rules restrict. And this was all about restricting you. Expectations about your behavior and your emotional expression, well, they can be transmitted across generations without anyone ever stopping to question them. So the story that you were taught is that one mistake required you to prove yourself all over again. And so the child, well, they need the bare necessities for survival. In fact, what we're looking at when you have challenges with your self-esteem is you're looking at an old survival strategy. It once protected your relationship with the other person. The question is not whether it made sense then. What we're wanting to do is ask, is it still telling the truth now? This is what I was working with whenever a client who has a really big dream, a desire that she wants to make her everyday reality. And then she said, I think I need more proof. Oh, so, well, was it confidence that she was having a challenge with? No, she's got a skill set. She's got a skill set. Now, she's going to need to learn to repair when that skill set goes wrong. But this wasn't saying, what do I do if it doesn't work? It says, I need to have more proof before I even move forward. And was it her self-worth with what she values? No, that's the reason why we looked at this dream. We looked at this desire to make sure that it was in alignment with what she values about her strengths, her talents, and her abilities. So, what we're looking at then is self-esteem. What was the story? And this is where you can have challenges when you take a class, a course, a workshop, read a book, and they say, follow these steps, follow this process, follow this protocol to turn your goal into what you actually live. And if you notice, I talk more about dreams and desires than goals because there needs to be an emotion behind it for your subconscious to consistently follow through. And goals, not so much, but dreams and desires, oh yeah, that emotion is there. Okay. So we're looking at the self-esteem story, and then a process needs to be put together that is going to match you. It has to be customized, looking at your story of origin. Now, there are what's known as 4 wounds. There is abandonment, rejection, unworthiness, and invalidation. Abandonment is when something you relied on to be okay in life went away. Maybe it was a teacher in elementary school that went out on maternity leave, and they were the one adult in your life that actually saw the brilliance within you. And they went out on maternity leave and they never came back. Or maybe it was the passing of a grandparent or someone else that was an authority figure in your life that was a safe place for you. So abandonment is the beginning wound. Now, if you go past that, then you get into rejection. This is when you take that abandonment and you make it that it was something you did. And so it wasn't just that they left you because you were rejected. You were wrong somehow. And then you look at the worthiness. And the worthiness is based on, are you bringing out your strengths, talents, and abilities? Well, you decide that you must have not brought them out, or they weren't good enough for somebody else. And so that's the reason why you were rejected and left. And then we get to validation or invalidation. Now, this is not something you do to yourself. This is something that someone does to you. And this is where they're like, oh, you're getting a little bit big for your britches, don't you think? Because you are actually doing something that begins to threaten them, that begins to surpass them, that points out their untapped potential, but they're going to project it onto you. And so you learn that then it's better to stay connected than to seek out love, because it's not going to happen because there's something wrong with you. You're not good enough and others reject you because of it. And now you're going to be abandoned. Someone taught you that one mistake requires you to prove yourself all over again and again and again. That was the original story in your self-esteem courtroom, where the judge keeps moving the finish line. And every time they do, you got to go back to court all over again and say, I need to show more proof. Okay. So what do we do? Well, it depends on what wound that this triggered. With my client that I was working with, because of things that I already knew about her, it was abandonment. It was the beginning wound. And so, all right, she needs proof that she is not going to be abandoned if she goes after this dream and desire and things don't work out the way they're going to, or the way she wants to. Okay. So then we had to put together a support team for her. Friends, mentors, coaches, people that she had a relationship with and that had also earned a degree of trust. And they were there not based on the outcomes that she produces. So that way it was safe for her to continue her story. Because remember, we're looking at the original story and we're trying to prove them wrong. Okay, well, let's look at adding on to that story and then using the support of others that can assist us with adding on to that story. They're not going to abandon us based on the outcome. We already have an established relationship with them. That's much different than if your wound is rejection or unworthiness or invalidation. Again, it needs to be customized to you. So, her hypnosis session that was customized to her was getting subconscious agreement of finding everyone in her present, whether they've been there for a while or she has yet to meet them, but they're showing up, and now she can establish a level of trust that says, okay, you can assist me with my story. You can help me add on because you're not here based on what I can provide for you. You're not here based on the outcome. Instead, you can assist me with adding on additional chapters in my book of life. All right. If you have found that this is of assistance for you, I'm going to invite you to have a coaching call with me, not only to make sure that we're a good fit for each other, but we can look at if self-esteem is your challenge, then you can let me know, well, what area you think it might be as far as abandonment, rejection, unworthiness, or invalidation. And I promise a tip, tool, or technique that you can use to start getting some relief and quit judging yourself that you're always wrong. So, until we get together again, look for all the ways. Look for the support and adding to the story instead of trying to prove that the story was incorrect, because we want you to live your truth based on who you are now with your brilliance. Before you go, I have a gift for you. If you've been listening to these episodes and finding yourself questioning old beliefs, wrestling with difficult realities, and wondering how to move forward without pushing yourself into exhaustion, I've created a gifted hypnosis experience called Renewal Reset. It's designed to help you release those outdated truths, let go of misaligned hopes, and stop the painful pushing that so often keeps you stuck. This guided experience will help you quiet the noise, reconnect with your own wisdom, and create forward movement from a place of clarity rather than pressure. You can claim your gifted hypnosis experience at dawnlandrum.com. and then click on the tab that says Gifted Hypnosis Experience, or it might say free. That's dawnlandrum.com. And until next time, blessings on your brilliance and how you bring the beauty of you to the world around all of us.